Uh, Welcome to the session. For this session, we discuss about the digital identification and digital certifications. So, before going to that chapter, what is that identification? Why that identification is needed? Right? So, in normal human being, everyone having different IDs. For students, you have college ID cards. While you are entering that college, some security persons or any other faculty members can ask your identity. So you can show your ID cards. So like that, go for that societies. So for societies, you have government issued ID cards. So that's the identity. So in India, lot of members having, everyone having Aadhaar cards. So apart from that, you have passports, then voter ID, then driving license. So these are all the identity cards. So why these cards are necessary in our day-to-day life? So it's ensure you are that authorized person and person. So anyone can identify it using that. But if we are coming to that digital world, so here also some identification is needed to ensure the authentications. So aim of this session is to provide basic concepts about the digital identifications. And so here for digital identification means your passwords and biometrics, digital signature and digital certificates. So if you go for the digital identifications, so you need the physical identification of the device. Next, the need of identification today life. So various identification techniques will be there, like paper based identification techniques, computer based identification techniques, biometrics, then digital certificates, then CAS and PKI. So you come on to the digital identification. So the digital identification is the process of verifying the identity of a user or device on a computer network. So it is critical component of web security as it helps to prevent unauthorized access to the systems and data. So initially I informed why the need of identification. So it will be authorized, you are the identified person. But you coming to the digital world, so using verifying the process of identify, they have to prevent the unauthorized access from the system. So there are several different methods for digital identifications are there. So first one is password, multi-factor authentication, then biometric authentications, and in password, you are commonly using for that password. For example, you are going to enter in your Gmail account. So first is ask username and password. So that's the digital identification. And next, multi-factor authentication. So it adds an additional layer of the security to digital identification by requiring user provide more than one piece of information to verify their identity. So for this multi-factor authentication, so if you go for your net banking methods, so if you even log in with your username and password, it's asking about that OTP, one time password verification through your mobile number or your Gmails. So that's a multi-factor authentication. And third one is biometric identification. So nowadays many of secure systems having that biometrical identification such as fingerprint, facial recognition or voice recognition to verify their identity. So where you are seeing this authentication, so if you are going to that bank, in that bank employees to access their systems, they need fingerprints, so they have biometric authentication, because if maybe someone knows their passwords, but so to prevent that unauthorized users, they need fingerprints of that only particular identified users. Yes. Next, physical identification. And so three interconnected components are collected reference to that identification, which includes identification, authentication and authorizations. So physical identifications, it's ensure these things. So physical identification, it's nothing but your IDs, whether if you are employee IDs or student ID or any government user. So these are all the physical identity of the users. So these identifications collectively refer identification, authentication, authorization. So these three things refers to that identification. Then why identification is needed? So identification cards alone do not establish a stable business environment. So they operate in conjunction with the legal systems. When individuals writes bad checks or fails to fulfill contractual obligations, business rely on the legal systems. So however, a favorable outcome in court, the business must assign the true identity of the customer. So we have to identify the true persons, that authorized persons, through these identifications. So paper based identifications, it's like next, tamper proofing of the documents, computer based identification techniques. So these are all the various techniques for that identification. Biometrics, so for that biometrics you have various, we'll see images of the person's face, next fingerprints, footprints, then patterns of blood vessels, DNA patterns, voice prints, handwriting characteristics, typing characteristics. So these are all the biometric characteristics. Next, digital certificates. For digital certificates, extend the utility of that public key cryptography by serving as a versatile identification system. So it's a one of that identification method. So a digital certificate is a digitally signed data block comprising a public key and additional details like individual name or email or organizational affiliation. So you have the digital certificates. In that certificate, what it contains? So it contains the data block which consists of a public key with addition to that particular authorized person names or email or their affiliation addresses. So these are all the process, web of trust, then certify your own key, then what the trust and validity. So a gauge of your confidence in the integrity and discreteness of individual in the possession of that key. So the greater your trust in a key, the greater your trust in the key's owner to vote for the keys of other individuals. What is that validity? So it should be validate that trust. So the measure of your confidence in the authenticity of the key you hold ensure that's genuinely correspondent to the individual it claims to belongs to that particular person. So that's the validity. Then certified authorities, CA. A is any organization it's responsible for issuing that digital certificate. So for certificate authority, who is issuing that digital certificates. So that person is called the certificate authorities. Yes. Yes. The different types of certificates: certification authority certificate, server certificate, personal certificate, software publisher certificates. Next, public key infrastructure. So public key infrastructure encompasses a comprehensive system of digital certificates, certain authorities, tools, systems and hardware essential for implementation of public key technology. Then various key components of that public key infrastructure is public and private key pairs, certificate authority, digital certificates, certificate revocation, certificate repository, registry authority, then certificate lifecycle management. And these are all various applications of public key infrastructure: secure web communication, email security, VPNs, document signing, digital signatures, code signing, then device authentication in latest technology like IoTs and user authentications. So these are all the applications. Next, digital identification through passwords and multifactors. We already discussed about these things, biometrics and all. And so thank you students. These are all some self-assessment questions and terminal questions for your references. Thank you.